What? I do too.
Megan?
Yes.
You can start now if you want.
Okay, we're ready to go. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. Those of you who signed up last week, I apologize for the delay. I wasn't feeling well last week, but I'm here this week. And we're going to go ahead and be doing a wood burning project together. Feel free to mute yourself, and you don't have to have your camera on if you don't want to participate in the class. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and there are also all the materials that are online. So, here we go.
Water based.
Okay, so the project that we're doing today, you can see on my camera down here, is going to be a grateful and blessed. If you came looking for the feather, don't worry, because we still have that one available too. So all of these templates are going to be available to you. Do you mind if we mute? And then if anyone wants to turn themselves back on and ask a question, they're welcome to. I don't know if there's a way to do that. There we go. Cool. All right. So is there anybody, I would love to know in chat if there's anybody who's actually going to wood burn with me right now, and then I can kind of pace myself to make sure that you're able to keep up. Another good option is that this is being recorded. So it's going to go online as soon as we're done. It usually shows up as a link tomorrow. And then you can come back. And what's nice about the video is you can slow down, you can rewatch it, you can speed it up if you don't want to listen to me talk about supplies and things like that. So there's lots of options for you to do this with the online version. So first, a little bit about myself. My name is Megan, and I'm here in Dallas, Texas. And I was telling Maria, it's trying to be fall here. It's not fall yet. It's still about 70 degrees, but it's trying really hard to be fall. So we're enjoying that break from our usual hot weather. I've been at Michael's for a year, and I'm a content designer, which means that I'm coming up with all the different classes that happen in the stores. So if you're lucky enough to be in one of the 50 stores or nearby one of the 50 stores that has the in-store classes, you can come and take some of my classes like making wreaths and wood burning, watercolor painting, acrylic painting. All sorts of classes are available in the actual classrooms in the store. If you don't have a store near you who is doing an in-store class, there's always the online version, which is always really nice to join. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you have a template, I'm going to fix this side, and I'm going to make it right side. There we go. All right. If you have a wood burning tool, go ahead and turn your wood burning tool on. So there's a switch. So just plugging it in is not enough. You actually need to switch on the switch also. The wood burning tools usually take about 1 minute to 2 minutes to warm up. I like to have a scrap piece of wood somewhere to like test and make sure. It's very tempting to want to test with your finger, but I do not recommend that. I think that is a terrible idea, and you will in fact burn yourself. So this is a dangerous tool. Use it with caution. I also do a little trick where I take a piece of masking tape and I tape down the holder so that it doesn't scoot off my table or end up on my lap or something like that that could cause a little bit more damage. So I have my wood burning tool, and it's on and it is getting ready to go. And in the meantime, I also have a pattern. So if you printed off the pattern, Maria, do you mind putting the link to the pattern again in the chat for me? There's going to be a pattern. And again, if you don't have time to print this off right now, or if you're not capable of printing it off, that's okay. You can come back later and you can do this part. And then I'm going to print this off. We're going to transfer it onto wood, and we're going to do the whole project together. So you have options in the link that Maria is putting in chat. There's the grateful and blessed. There's also going to be the option of the hope feather. And I also wanted to show you that if you happen to buy the all-in-one wood burning kit, it comes with some cool paints and things too. So if you wanted to wood burn and then actually add some paint and add some color, you can do that as well. So if you have the all-in-one wood burning kit, you have everything you need. You got your wood burner, you got some practice wood, you have a slice of wood to draw the actual design on, and you have paints and Mod Podge and several other items. If you don't have the all-in-one kit, you can get it online. It's only sold online as a kit, and it comes at a special price, and it comes to your house. So again, if you can't play along with me right now, maybe go ahead and gift yourself that kit and then come and watch this video later. So when you have your wood burner, you're going to want to use a scrap piece of wood. The piece of wood that comes in the kit looks something like this. It might be a circle or it might be a square, but it's a big piece of wood that you can just practice making some marks on. Because I've already used mine a couple different times, I'm going to use a different little piece of scrap wood. And the first thing I'm going to do now that my pen is nice and hot is I'm just going to practice making some dots. So I'm just going to hold the pen down for a little bit and make some dots. So it will be smoky, don't worry, that is normal. Your wood is not on fire, but I am doing this in a pretty ventilated room. My room has a very high ceiling, and I'm actually running a fan too, so that I don't set off any fire alarms in my house, because that would be bad. So I'm gonna practice a couple more times, hold it down, pull it back up, and make some more dots for yourself. And you know that your wood burning tool is good and hot if it's making some nice colored dots. The hotter it is, the darker, or the longer you leave it, the darker the color will be. If you do very light touch, you'll have a very small dot, and it might be a little bit of a different color than if you leave it for a lot longer also. The next thing I'm going to try and practice doing is I'm going to try and practice a straight line. So when you're using your wood burning tool to make a straight line, the name of the game is to keep going with consistent motion and to try not to hesitate. So keep going slow and steady across your wood to make a nice even burn. If you hesitate, you're going to start noticing some darker spots or some little patches or some extra dots. And that just means that you left the pen there a little too long, so it got darker than the rest of the line. So try to make a couple of lines on a practice piece of wood, just slow and steady. As soon as you commit, just commit to drawing the line and keep going and pick it back up at the end. Again, if you leave it too long at the end, you're going to make one of those extra big dark dots also. So make a couple more lines for yourself just to practice using this pen and getting used to it. I hold mine like I would hold a normal pencil or pen. Obviously, you want to keep your fingers on the plastic part. Anything metal is very, very hot, including this extra little shelf down here. So you are going to burn yourself if you touch that. So please be careful. Now I'm going to do a squiggle. So maybe sometimes you might not need a straight line. Maybe sometimes you're going to need a curve. So go ahead and start practicing some different curved lines for yourself. And your goal is each time you do this to just get a little smoother with your lines by keeping a nice, even, consistent pressure. So slow and steady. Great question. I see in the chat somebody's asking me about the tip that I'm using. And that's a great opportunity for me to tell you what's going on with the tips. So I have a little ceramic bowl right here, and I have a couple of the extra tips that are hiding in here. It's really easy to change the tips with your wood burning tool. You're going to take a plier and you just twist off the tip, either twisting the wood burner or twisting your pliers, whichever is easier. And the tip that I was using is called the flow point, and it is the point that I like to use the most. But while we're trying this out, I'm going to try another tip to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and put on this one that kind of looks like a leaf. And this is called the shading point. So I'm going to screw this into my wood burning tool. And you don't have to wait very long. It does heat up pretty quickly, but you might need to wait just a little bit for it to start conducting down into here too. And obviously this is called the shading point because it covers a lot more space and you can do some really interesting shading patterns. So if I put this down on my wood, see if it's hot enough. Ooh, you get almost like a feather-like picture. You can use this to make some beautiful petals. You can put them together to make some cool flower designs. I've also seen people use this tool a lot for like if you're making a bird or something kind of realistic and you want some feathers that have some nice texture, you can use this tool as well. So this tip right here is called the shading point. There's also a tip that is called the universal point. So the universal point to me looks like a calligraphy tip. So you can make very straight, thin lines, or you can make very broad lines using this universal tip. And there's also a cone tip, and the cone tip is exactly what it sounds like. It looks very cone-like, very fine details. So this is really good for very teeny tiny detailed work. So I'm going to go ahead and use my universal flow tip again. So that's the tip that I'm going to put back into my wood burning tool. And even though it's been cooling off for a little bit, I still want to use my pliers to put this back in because you never know how hot that might be. And I don't want to test it. So we're just practicing using our wood burning pen for now. And if you haven't already, make sure that you turn your tool on so that it can get nice and hot before we do the project together. And if you have the time and the ability to print off one of the templates, you can do that. You could also freehand something and come up with something or do this again later when you watch the video. So one more thing I want to show you on my practice piece of paper before we go into the project is going to be how to do some hashing. So some hash lines are just a series of lines over and over that are kind of like diagonal hash lines. And you can use these to kind of fill in some spaces. And if I go the other direction also, this is called a crosshatch. So you can use a crosshatch, which becomes almost like checkerboarded, to cover a whole big area if you want some interesting shading or some interesting texture to your wood burning. So if you have questions, please put them in chat and I'd love to answer them for you. But I am going to go ahead and start getting ready for our project. Also, I'd love to hear where you're from. I'm, like I said, in Dallas, but I'm curious to know where else people are watching from today. So if you bought the all-in-one kit, you have a wooden slice. If you don't have a wooden slice, or if you didn't buy the kit, you have lots of other options. At my class, we have these really great wooden surfaces that are kind of like a board that you can hang up. I think it's 12 by 12 would be the size of this one. We also have some really cool unfinished surfaces that are wooden frames that are great to wood burn on. When you're picking out your wood, the most important thing is it can't have any painting and it can't have any chemicals already on it. Because you can imagine that once you start wood burning onto something that's painted, it's going to release some fumes that are not going to be good for you. So if it's already sealed or has a wax or a varnish or something, you don't want that wood to use for wood burning. You just want some nice smooth surface. If it has knots in it, it's going to be a little harder to wood burn on. So if it's a nice smooth, like this basswood, it's going to be nice and smooth for you and much easier to do your project. So in your all-in-one kit, you have something called graphite paper. So your graphite paper looks like this. There's a really dark side and there's a lighter side. So you're going to have the darkest side towards the wood that you're going to be copying your design onto. And we're going to transfer the design. So I printed this out. I made mine a little bigger so that you can see it a little bit better. But the one that is in the link that we have in the chat, you can go ahead and copy either the feather, this grateful one. There's also another one that's available today that I gathered together. So if you prefer a message like gather together, grateful and blessed, or if you want to do the feather, you're welcome to do that. And Maria, if you don't mind, I think you might have already done it, but I have a video of myself already doing this hope flower. I keep saying flower, feather. So if you want to burn the hope feather, we're going to put that video in the chat so that you can watch that one later also. But today we're going to focus on this grateful and blessed. So I have the darkest part of my paper facing my wood. I like to cut out and not just use the square piece of paper to kind of be able to center it and see where on my wood slice I want it. And then any pencil works, even a pen works too, because you're just using the power of the pressure to transfer onto the wooden slice. So if it's thicker lettering like this, don't worry about trying to outline the whole thing. Just make a line for yourself down the middle of the letters. So I'm tracing this just in the middle of that black area, anywhere will do, to give yourself kind of a rough draft on your piece of wood. Ooh, we got people in New York and Washington and Texas. Thank you for joining us today. So the black paper is called graphite paper or transfer paper. And if you're not fancy and you don't have that, an old school way of transferring a design is to rub your pencil on the back and then flip it over and draw over it. And by transferring pencil lead onto your thing, you're going to do the same as what this paper is doing. So grateful and blessed is my saying I'm going with today. And I'm just making one single line to kind of outline the spacing of my letters and kind of what that font looks like. And then we can go in and work on wood burning it and then eventually personalize it to make it just what we want it to be. So look how well that turned out with that graphite paper. I didn't press very hard, but I got a beautiful draft on my piece of wood. So I'm ready to burn. One of the things I love about wood burning is I really feel like if you can trace, you can wood burn. And I know that I can trace. I'm not a super great drawer. I'm very limited in my ability to draw realistic things, but I can trace and I can do a coloring book like nobody's business. So if you're like me and you can trace, you can wood burn. I'm going to take the wood burning tool and I'm just going to use that same consistent pattern, slow and steady, and you'll get used to the wood that you're using and how hard you might need to press or how soft you might need to press based on your wood. And I'm going to go and I'm going to trace over all of my pencil lines with a nice, even, this is just the first draft, so don't worry if it's not perfect. If you have some jumps and some hiccups or some dots, I'll show you how to cover those back up as we go back. So you're doing a really nice first draft of the one single line, and we're going to worry about making it thicker as we go. Salem, Oregon. I bet it's beautiful there this time of year. Is there anybody who's wood burning with me right now? That's okay. I sometimes like to watch the videos later. So this particular design that I picked out, this Grateful and Blessed, came from the Michael's Design Library. I don't know if you know this or not. I didn't know it until pretty recently. But on Michael's website, there's a free design library if you're into Cricut. There's free SVG files that you can print out using your Cricut. There's also all kinds of free designs for you to use to make t-shirts, to make mugs that have different sayings and different pictures and icons. So that's where I got this particular saying from. And I just printed out that file and I was ready to have a template to transfer. We have a lot in the design library of holiday templates. So if you want to make a wood-burned St. Patrick's something, or if you want to make a Christmas one or a Hanukkah one, we have lots of really cool designs in that design library. And the way you get to that design library is, let me double check. I think it's michaels.com/design library. And you can kind of search through all the pictures. So if you don't want to draw your own pictures that you're going to wood burn, coloring books or this design library, or even stencils are a great idea. So these stencils from Michaels too are really helpful to just make, if you don't like your own handwriting, you can just trace some letters down and then you can go back with your wood burning tool and make those look even nicer. So slow and steady, making these first draft lines. And I'll definitely come back and make these thicker as we go. It's a very relaxing hobby. It's kind of just the wood burning tool starts doing the job for you. And if it's good and hot, it's kind of like a warm knife going through butter. You just sit back and watch it do its job. It's like butter. And my ampersand. All right, so I have my first draft of all the lines for my grateful and blessed. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go back through, and I'm still using the flow point, which is thicker than the cone point. And it's a really nice point that just really moves across any kind of wood very smoothly. So it's my favorite point to use whenever I'm doing big projects like this. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go just a tad bit higher than the line I already drew. And I'm going to go in and kind of mirror that line just a little bit higher. And you can imagine that eventually we're going to fill those in together. So this is a great way of getting thickness. Do your first line like we just did, and then do the next line just a little bit higher. And then we'll go back one more time and fill in that middle space. So I'm making like an outline. Another option is if you don't want to burn inside these letters, you can leave them outlined like this and they're much bolder and can stand out a lot better. Or another thing, like I was showing you before with my feather, you could go back with some paint and you could paint inside of these lines that you're creating for yourself. And you can make some interesting colors and textures with paint that's provided in the kit. Or another option that I use that I think is really fun too is just like a Crayola washable marker. A washable marker on the wood kind of ends up being like watercolor, and it kind of spreads into the wood and gives you like a light feeling. It's not a very bright color. It's kind of a watercolor dulled down color, but it ends up looking really nice. So that's another option for you. So I'm going back to make my lines a little bit thicker by adding that extra line. So if there's an in-store class near you, in the DFW, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we have about 15 stores right now that have in-store classes, and we are getting ready for the holidays in a major way. So we have some wood burning classes where you can make a really cute garland that you can hang up. This one's like fa la 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 la, and you can hang that across a fireplace. We also have a class where you can learn how to do some wood burn ornaments. So maybe you have a new member of your family you want to welcome, or maybe there's just some kind of, if you had somebody get married in your life, you could make them a little wood burn ornament to commemorate that. So those are some classes that are coming up. But even if you can't come to the in-store classes, with the stuff that you're learning today, just find any of these surfaces at Michael's and you're ready to go and burn all different kinds of things. So don't limit yourself to just a big slice of wood. You can use any of those tags that make really cool ornaments, or you can use picture frames. We have a whole aisle at Michael's that's unfinished surfaces that would all just love for you to burn them. I mean, there's other uses for it too, but you know what I'm saying. So wood burning is a really relaxing hobby that I've just recently got into. I hadn't ever wood burned until this past year when I started my job at Michael's, and now I love doing it. Can't believe I didn't do it before. I have one friend who likes to describe wood burning as basically drawing with a hot pen, which is what it is. So if you do enjoy drawing and you would prefer your pen to be a hot tool rather than an actual ink pen, this might be your new hobby. I'm going to leave that for now. I will go back in and fill that in, but I'm going to go down to the letters at the bottom and do the same kind of thing. And what's great is that if you start to get some of the dots, let me see if I can show you. That's okay. Just go ahead and make everything around it that same darkness by holding down the spot around it. And you can just blend that back in real nice by just making the whole letter a little bit darker and a little bit thicker. So it's easy to fix some of those mistakes you might feel like are mistakes that are never really mistakes, just new designs. So I'm going to do some of these double layers with my letters. These bottom letters are already kind of blocky, so I'm just making them a little bit thicker. And I might go back one more time and do it at the end. So I see in the chat, oh, an online ornament class sounds like a good idea. Maybe we should do that next. I have one more wood burning class coming up on November 15th. So with November 15th, we were going to do some kind of holiday design, but we can talk about ornaments too, if you think that that might be something you would enjoy. And for the snowflake designs, I recommend finding something online that already is a line design of a snowflake and using that as your template and burning that. But if you happen to get, at Michael's, we have these wooden snowflake ornaments that are already ready to go. I like doing these because you can just add a couple of wood burn lines to just kind of bring them to life. And you can easily make a pretty cool snowflake design using this. So if you don't want to use a template, if you just want to freehand it, maybe use one of the shapes that's already in the shape of a snowflake. Great questions. So Maria dropped in the chat the next wood burning class that's coming up. So if you're interested in this, or if you just want to watch another video of wood burning, maybe it's a good relaxation tool, you can comment and watch that in November. All right, I got my double lines for my whole design, and I am going to go back one more time, and I'm going to go in the middle. Now, when you go back in the middle, you have some options. You can just do a third line and try to keep a line the same as the other two, or you can kind of use the pen like you would color, or use a color pencil and kind of just back and forth and back and forth, just making it a little bit darker by that back and forth motion. Now I'm starting to be able to tell that I've had my wood burning tool on for a while because some of the heat is coming up towards my hand. So if you have any of those heat resistant gloves, those are really helpful for wood burning, especially if you're doing it for long periods of time. You can also flip off the wood burning tool and just let it chill for a little bit and then heat it back up. But remember, if you ever turn it off at the switch, that it's going to need another minute or two to be able to actually heat back up and be ready to burn for you. So I'm filling in this space in between my two lines. You can make dots, you can make hashes or cross hatches like I showed you at the beginning, or you can just kind of move back and forth like it's a colored pencil and you're just coloring in with some burnt wood. One of my other favorite parts of wood burning is the smell. If anybody is wood burning with me at home, you know what I'm talking about. It's a like campfire smell. It's not a bad smell. It's a lovely campfire smell. And I really like it. Good memories around a campfire. So I'm going back and I'm filling in these lines. If you are wood burning with me, or if you've already wood burned with me before, I'd love to see your pictures. So we have hashtags for Instagram and Facebook. If you put hashtag make it with Michaels or hashtag Michaels classes, then I'll be able to see some of the cool designs that you guys are making as well. So once I go back through and fill in these letters, you might have noticed on my finished project, which is on the other side, that I added just a little bit of extra flair because I just can't leave things alone. I just need to keep adding details and keep adding extra dots and lines. So that's something that I just freehanded by just leaving the tool down and burning little dots and making little lines. I didn't plan them out. They're just very random. But that's one way that you can kind of finish your design if you want to. With these wooden slices, you can get those, I don't know what they're called. They're kind of like easels, but they're wire, and you can sit the wood slice in the easel so that people can see them. You can display them somewhere. Another good idea for finishing these would be to get some of that double-sided Velcro. I think 3M makes a good Velcro that you can hang on your wall using Velcro pieces. So it's not permanent, but it can hang up for a while and you can show off your new skills. People will be so impressed with your wood burning skills. One more idea for finishing it too would be to use one of these sawtooth hooks. And you can just put that into the back of your wood piece, and then that can go on a nail or anything that hangs on your wall, a hook also. One other thing I was thinking about when I was making a practice piece for this Grateful and Blessed is I think it would be absolutely lovely to have this out at Thanksgiving and then maybe use the cone point, which is that very, very fine tip point, and let people sign their names. So maybe it's like to commemorate who all was at your Thanksgiving table that year, and everybody can sign their initials or can make a little picture or a little icon or something to show that they were there with you for Thanksgiving. So I'm liking the way that this is turning out. And you can keep going back and making it thicker or making it more even, making all your dots kind of disappear by making it the same amount of burn, and the same darkness and thickness of all the dots around it. You can spend a lot of time. I like to sit on my back porch and wood burn when it's nice out, of course, not when it's 105 degrees. Love it. Good idea with a flip. So maybe on one side you do something for Christmas and then you can flip it on the other side and make it Halloween or Thanksgiving or something to make it last a little bit longer. I bet you could put a nice piece of twine on it too to make it flippable. Or like the store is open or closed. Mom's office is closed, no visitors. Or mom's office is open. Yes, please come ask me questions. I like that idea. Kitchen is closed. That's a good one. No snacks available at this time. Unless you're a mom and you just want to eat Pringles in your cabinet. I think that's okay. Sometimes you just need to hide and eat Pringles, and that's fine. So things that you are grateful and blessed for. I love hobbies that are mindful or that are really like calm. So if you're doing something like this where you're just spending some time wood burning, it's not a fast art, it's slow and steady. So just give yourself the time, let yourself have that time to kind of spend with yourself and spend with your thoughts. You can make up a kind of intention, like if I'm doing something like grateful and blessed, I might be thinking about what am I grateful for? Or in what ways do I feel blessed? So I think this is going really well. I'm going to show you some of the extra designs on around it. And then we can decide if we want to go back and make these letters thicker or if we want to leave it the way that it is. So far it's looking pretty good. Lots of ideas for going around. This slice of wood has some really great wood grain. So you might as well kind of follow the wood grain that's already there and use it as some of your lines. So I'm just going to draw some lines following the wood grain. I'm not going to go all the way around. I'm not going to make it perfect. I'm not going to make them all the same size or measure anything. I'm just going to kind of go with the flow and go with the grain. Oh, did you see that one? That was a good one. The wood grain. And I'm just making some spaces with some dashes or some lines following that wood grain. Another idea might be to take your shading point, that one that was more of like a flower, like I showed you before, and you could fill in that and make some extra designs with that. Now, if you don't trust yourself, or if I don't like to just freehand things, I need a pattern or I need something like that. Again, I bet those stencils would be great for someone who doesn't really want to freehand things. A lot of times in a pack of stencils, it'll come with like some extra shapes, some ovals, some hearts, some stars that you can kind of use and trace around in different ways too, if you don't feel comfortable just totally freehanding it. All right, I'm going to go back, and I think this time I'm going to make some like diagonal lines that come out, kind of like rays of sunshine. I might also put a dot, like a chicken foot, turkey foot. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to see what happens. So I'm going to go with it. Make some diagonal lines coming out of my spaces. Can be different numbers, different patterns, different numbers of dots. Just make it your own. I'm really smoking now. Do you see that smoke coming up? Glad I have my fan on. Once the weather starts getting colder, it's a lot easier to think about Thanksgiving and some of the winter holidays, but right now I'm still focused on Halloween. So curious if anyone is dressing up for Halloween tomorrow, what you're going to be. My brother sent me a picture, he's a CPA, of himself as Dumbledore. So you're never too old for Halloween. That is my firm belief. In my previous life, I was a math teacher. I taught middle school and high school math. And one year I dressed up as a TI-84 graphing calculator. And a lot of people were mistaking me for a Game Boy. And I was like, excuse you, no, I am a graphing calculator. So there's that. I just had to slow myself down because I was going a little fast and I was skipping some spots. Too excited about Halloween. Nice. So that gives me like a nice little background to keep playing with. I can keep adding more lines, more texture, more dots, just kind of filling up some of that border with some interesting different dots. Thanks. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I'd love to help you out. Yep. So the tip that I'm using is called the flow point. And the flow point is round, but it's thicker than what you would call the cone point because the cone point comes to that point. So the flow point gives you a nice round space that's going to move over any wooden ridges pretty easily. The other points that I've talked about before, this one I think reminds me of a calligraphy point. So you can make nice, long, thick lines using this point, or you can use it on its side and make those really sharp, crisp, straight lines. Or you can also use the shading tip in order to give you kind of more of what we would call like a flower feel or a shading feel. So I see another question in the chat about sealing it, which I think is a great question. I want to take some time to go ahead and explain that to you also. So in the all-in-one kit, you do get some of these paints and you get some Mod Podge and you also get some lovely paintbrushes. So if you want to add color to something after you used your wood burning tool, then you can go ahead and I just put some paints on a little paper plate, use the paintbrushes and colored in some of the spaces that I created. So if you didn't want to fill those in, you could leave them open. You could go back in and paint in, or you could be using some of your paint in some of these splattery kind of dot designs around the edge. And then what you do to seal it, you'll notice that this wood looks a little bit darker. And the reason why is because I sealed this side. So this side is a little bit shiny. You can see a little bit of that shine. And that's because I painted it. I left it overnight, then let it dry. And then I used the Mod Podge and just drop some Mod Podge on here and use the sponge brush that also comes in the kit. And that's how I sealed it. So the painting is sealed. This Mod Podge should be great for outdoors also. So you can leave this outside and the paint's not going to come off once it's sealed. So don't put the seal over top of it if you're painting until after your paint is really dry. If you start putting the Mod Podge and something starts smearing, stop, because it's not dry enough for you to seal it yet. But you could also seal something just like this and then end up making that wood grain almost a darker stain by adding that layer of Mod Podge on the top. And then like we were talking about before, there are different ways to finish it. You can use, you can put a back on it that has like the sawtooth, like this one. Or you can use some of the 3M Velcro and just put a strip of the Velcro on the wood and put a piece of Velcro on your wall and line them up like that. Or you could add some twine. When I do twine, if you don't have wood that already has holes in it for the twine, another idea is to open up the stapler and like you're doing a bulletin board, you can staple the twine to the wood and then that can make you a nice little hanging too. So if you wanted to do your backwards and forwards sign or a sign that flips open and closed, you can use twine to help you with that. Or you can screw in some of those little tiny picture hanger hooks and add a wire or add a piece of twine at the top of that also. So once you have stained it or once you have sealed it using Mod Podge or stain or anything like that, you cannot wood burn again. So now that I've sealed this, I can't go back and fix anything with my wood burning tool because it's going to burn a chemical smell and you're not going to want that. So anything that you're going to do with your wood burning tool needs to happen before you seal it. And then once you're sealed, your fate is also sealed and you can't go back and fix anything. So leave that last layer of Mod Podge until you feel really good about what you're doing. All right, I think I'm just going to go in and kind of perfect some of this, but I'm here to answer questions if anybody has any. I'm going to make these just a little bit crisper and a little bit thicker so that you can see my saying from further away. We're really happy that you came to this online class today. And like I said, I have another wood burning class coming up on November 15th at 4 p.m. Central. If you don't have the kit yet, you've got time to order one and it can come to your house and then you can sit here next time and burn along with me. Or you will have this link available to you and you can come back and watch any of these videos again. The feather video is available to you. This grateful video will be available to you. And then we'll have a holiday one coming up also. All right, I'm going to be wrapping up pretty soon here, so I just want to give you a couple more reminders. Maria put in the chat that you can find this video again later on YouTube. You can also please hashtag us using Make It With Michaels or hashtag Michaels Classes so that I can see your creations. The design library is a great place for you to pick all sorts of things if you want to really get into wood burning but are afraid of making your own designs. You know, some of the best artists take from other people and make it their own. So feel free to use our free design library. Ooh, that was a nice dark spot down here. Kind of fun. So yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed this. The wood burning tool is available in the all-in-one kit. Or if you just go into any Michael's, Walnut Hollow is the group who makes these wood burners. There's one called the Creative Woodburner. There's also a Detailer and a couple of other ones. This is the packaging that I ripped off. But it comes with all those different points too. So you can really just explore all the different points and things that you can do with them. And you can end up making some pretty beautiful things. So I highly encourage you to grab any kind of wooden surface that you can find and go ahead and let yourself go crazy. Make some really cool things. So Maria, I think that's all I have unless anyone has any further questions. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Megan, and I hope to see you again in November. Have a good day.